and fuckery.
What's up? What's up?
Want to talk about defunding the police? They want to send social workers to domestic violence calls. I don't know, man. When the cops show up, guns, tasers, that's an effective way to handle that situation. I know. I haven't beaten my wife since. No, I don't beat my wife. But apparently I look like the kind of guy that beats his wife. I don't know what it is about all this that just screams domestic violence, man. I look like I like my women the way I like my fish. Battered. Come on, you know I can't be like that guy. It's a joke. It's 2022. You know I'm not eating carbs.
Guys, TNF Podcast here. Like, comment, share, subscribe, do all the stupid generic YouTube shit. Today on the show, we have a very funny comedian here in California. He rides Harleys. He's a riot starter. um, Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Joe Bando.
Hey, how's it going, man? Don't oversell me.
No, I feel like I'm underselling you. So, thanks for coming on the show. I got to see your performance in where was that? Huntington Beach?
Oh, yeah, the rec room.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say this guy killed it. Like he was 100. And it was funny because it was a bunch of, do you want to tell the story about the
I'd like to hear your angle of this.
well, it was interesting because I went there and, a lot of the comedians were kind of like the woke virtue signaler types, you know what I'm saying? And I was like, the ones that make comedy unfun,
Yeah.
you know? And so I'm sitting there kind of suffering through that. And then, Bando here says that there's some folks that were like, yeah, I didn't, they weren't too receptive to my comedy or something like that. And said individuals were sitting behind me, and every time, Joe drops a punchline, they were like, oh my God, like clutching their pearls. Excuse me, I have this stupid shit on. They were like completely aghast every time you said something.
Oh, that's great. I love it. Because to me, that's a win. If whether you love me or hate me, if you have an emotional reaction at the punchline of one of my jokes, I won. Like that's my goal.
Absolutely.
Ideally, I want it to be laughter every time. But depending on the person, that's subjective. And if it's a gasp, or I've had people get up and walk out and cuss things at me as they're walking out the door.
Wow.
And honestly, like that just fuels me to continue to do it
Exactly.
more.
I think we probably had a pretty woke audience, or there was a contingency of it that was, no?
For Huntington Beach, yes, right?
But they were all laughing.
But I mean, man, out here in LA, Hollywood and stuff, man, it's even worse, man. It's crazy.
Dude, it's so funny to me. I couldn't believe it. And yeah, like you were on point, man. Like who are your influences as far as comedians are concerned?
Well, I mean, I grew up on, your George Carlin for sure. Both the monumental Eddie Murphy
Oh,
specials. Bill Cosby himself. Like, I mean, what a great guy.
we did own some Cosby records as a kid, and they're funny.
Well, there's just so many of them too.
Right.
The guy was doing like 2.5 hours sets of new material like
And it's pretty clean, you know?
every night,
Yeah.
like before he got arrested.
Yeah.
That guy was crazy talented.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, Carlin, he was on point, and
I learned a lot about the world from Carlin.
oh, I mean, he
How
was
the world works.
very, very sage like man, no? Like he's always dropping like truths and truth bombs
And
on
there's
you,
a guy that could take string you along for 4 or 5 minutes without a laugh, keep you on the edge of your seat, just because everything he's saying is interesting, and you trust him because you know the laugh is going to come.
Right.
Right? Like what a master at his craft. I mean, my God. Oh God, if I could
And then
only
it's
do
like,
that.
and then when he hits you with it, it's like boom, and then everybody's laughing, and then he's like boom, boom, like he's fucking in the ring or something, you know?
And I like, I like the joke structure aspect of it, right?
Right.
Like like Rodney Dangerfield,
Oh,
like
master.
seriously, like, and I like the one-liner comics, the Mitch Hedberg and
Yeah.
Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright. Yeah, that's what I was thinking
Stephen
of.
Wright, growing up, like I remember his his little specials and stuff, and the cameos at the different movies and stuff. Playing,
Yeah.
just what a clever, funny guy. Like I like a clever joke.
Yeah, no, I mean, same with all the influences as just entertainers. I've done a very limited run of stand up, but um, yeah, I mean those first two Eddie Murphy specials, Delirious, Raw, incredible. Yeah, Carlin, Bill Hicks,
Oh, I mean, God, who doesn't love Bill
Bill
Hicks?
Hicks, man, like he seemed like he came from a place of just real, almost hurt, you know?
Oh, I mean, I don't think any comics really don't. I mean, I've kind of like assessed with the ones I know, with the ones I know, like there's a certain kind of mental faculty that comes with wanting to get up on stage all by yourself and
Right.
make a room full of strangers laugh.
Yeah, yeah.
You
No,
know,
it's and it's got to be like a task too, and but I mean
it's
the
huge, dude. It's the hardest thing I've ever done
how's
in my
that
life.
going for you?
I love it. It's a disease. It's amazing.
It's a disease.
Well, yeah, it's humbling every time. Like at 47 years old, I mean, I started about 4 years ago, so
Oh wow.
to start
So
this
it's
off,
never too late, folks,
it's
to do
never too
anything.
late. It's never too late to look this good. 47.
So 47 or 4 years ago you started doing stand up. And then, like what was the catalyst for all that? Like what you were just like, boom, I'm ready to do it or
I owned a security company. I started it in 2012 and up in the Bay Area, in Oakland area,
right.
and I built it from just me and one other employee in 7 years' time to 250 employees. And
Wow.
I was doing contracts with the Oakland Athletics and big tech companies for their big parties and the Burning Man scene and all the stuff. I was
Good.
providing all the security for all these events all over
Right.
the Bay Area, and I don't know, man. Running a business with that many employees in the state of California that's not forgiving to employers is rough, man.
Yeah,
It's rough.
I'm
And
sure.
so I sold it and got out of it. And then it was like, what did I want out of life? My wife and I went to a couple shows at the Ice House in Pasadena. We saw Rogan and Bill Burr and Tom Segura and Theo Vaughn, and like
Nice.
we just had like nice date nights,
Yeah.
And I was like, man, I think I want to do that. Like, my idea was like, first of all, I love the idea of failure.
Yeah.
Failure to me is everything because without failure, you don't win.
You
You
don't
can't
change
succeed.
as a human. Yeah.
Even down to our physiology, right? Like you have to fail. Like your muscles literally go into failure when
They're,
you're lifting.
they're failing now, folks. I'm doing a fucking juice fast, but this is the last day.
The juice is making it worse, bro. You should just do a water fast.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Well, I already bought all this juice, so,
Well,
and I
yeah.
thought about
Water
it.
fast is free too, dog.
Yeah. Well, not in California. I don't drink this fucking shit. Like, that's.
I got a Berkey at home.
Oh, well, see, I need to get one of those, but a lot of them you have to install into the
But
actual sink and shit, and like, I don't really want to do that here.
this one's just one I put next to the sink and I just fill it up and
Nice.
it's gonna
Yeah, no, I got the bougie water and shit, man. Like, I don't, I don't hold back on that. I think I drank California tap water one time and I almost wanted to throw up. I was like, this is fucking gross shit I've ever drank in my life. And then it's like Dr. Strangelove, like the fluoridation in the water, like there's that
there's
aspect.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. So you had mentioned to me that you were in a band before and that because you
Oh
you do
yeah.
have a performance background prior to comedy.
Oh yeah, I had a hardcore band called Provoke back in Cleveland in the 90s, right? Like a couple guys, one of them went off to Chimera after we broke up. And yeah, Jason Gennaro was like the original like Ascension kind of, you remember Ascension?
Hmm.
He was like in Falling in Line with those guys. So from that like scene, and we did some shows. We did a show with Hatebreed. We opened up for those guys back in like '97.
Best band to open up for.
Actually, that was the night One Life Crew actually was on that show,
Oh yeah.
and they broke up halfway into the intro because Blaze brought a Budweiser guitar on stage for ironic reasons, and fucking the guitar broke in the middle of the fucking intro,
Oh,
and Steve got mad, and they just all got off stage that night. That
they
was
were
a
done.
fucking crazy night. Yeah, I
Wow.
forgot about that till right now, and I just remembered the night I opened up for Hatebreed. But yeah, so Provoke played that show.
But Blaze was not always, or was he ever straight edge?
Oh, Blaze, I don't think's ever been straight edge, dude.
Yeah. So yeah, that shouldn't come as a shock to anybody that he would do that. But maybe they just got pissed off, or I
I
don't know.
think there was like a little friction between the band members going into it.
Right. And to speak on Yeah. Well, back to Hatebreed. Like incredible band. Like
Oh
that
yeah, yeah.
Satisfaction still kicks ass to this day. I mean, I still rock it like pretty religiously. And they're great to open for. Their crowds are insane. Like
Oh,
n-
without a doubt.
now, to speak of hardcore shows, there is the famous show that they wrote an article about in Vice. Um,
They really wrote an article about it in
you've
Vice.
never seen it? I thought I.
No, dude. I am so Vice, Reddit. Like I can't follow Reddit. Like I don't know. I
Sure.
don't speak whatever language that is you guys are communicating in on Reddit.
Yeah.
Like I can't handle that shit
Yeah.
either.
And they also do dumb shit on Reddit to where they require you to have like flyers on your post, and if you don't put the flyer on there, it doesn't post, and it's or flare, excuse me, that's what it
I
is.
don't
It's
even
the
know what that
dumbest
means.
shit. I don't either. That's why I don't
Makes
use
me want
Reddit.
to question my
That's
sexuality.
yeah, exactly.
That's so
That's why
funny.
I don't use Reddit, folks, because it'll fucking the
Warp.
water will fucking warp your mind in tandem with the fucking stupid app, and
No, I never saw the Vice article, man.
it's fucked up. Like, well, no, actually, it only mentions that part, but like the rest of it is pretty positive towards One Life Crew because it's about
Is it?
yeah, it's about a kid that grew up, I guess, in the area, and he was like, yeah, Chubby and Steve kind of took me under their wing, and like it was a
Oh,
really
it was Jonah.
maybe that's his
Jonah
name,
Bear.
Jonah Bear, maybe,
He's a
yeah,
writer. He wrote for AP and stuff.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was
yeah.
in he was in Provoke and he was and I think that's probably him who wrote
We
it.
need to look this up.
We do.
Yeah, I look.
You need a Jamie.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Jamie, pull that one up for me. No, that should be coming someday. By the way, if you're watching this, I'm auditioning co-hosts, so seriously, get at me. Um, but yeah, the article was pretty favorable, actually. You know, I it's so weird. We live in such a sensitive culture now, and it's like everybody will get fucking razzed for the wrong shit. And like,
They get razzed for the sake of getting razzed.
yeah. And so, people can still, hold whatever sort of emotions they want to have towards things, but. So let's talk about that show.
What a great night.
Yeah, why don't you break it down for us? Because I've seen the video.
Okay, so I was listening to you with Steve on,
Yeah.
and Steve said it was a VFW hall. This was no VFW hall, bro. This was at the Willoughby Armory. Okay, let's make
Okay.
it clear. It's a huge place that like stored tanks and shit.
Oh,
Like on this cul-de-sac in Lake County, right
wow.
outside of Cleveland,
That's
the
crazy.
Willoughby Armory. That was a crazy night on so many levels.
Yeah.
A lot of people's cars got stuck in the grass. Nobody expected 2,000 people to show up to this show, and that was
Almost
how.
2,000.
Yes, there was.
Holy shit.
Right. So I got tasked out by Shauna, who put the show together.
Yeah.
It was supposed to benefit this woman's shelter or something. There's a whole other. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't.
There's a whole other friggin' episode you could probably do on what that broad did with the money and how she got in trouble. Like, there's a whole bunch of that
Who
shit.
would know about this?
Oh, I saw people talking about it. I don't know. I could probably put you.
Okay, okay.
But
Um,
anyways, what I'm saying is like that. There's so many layers to that whole show that were so weird. But so she asked me, and then One Life Crew she wouldn't put on the show because of the controversy over the
right.
song, right? So she had me and them and my friend Johnny all do security for her. So we did, and my girl at the time, who's
So
my son's mother, was working the door with Lisa, Dwid's wife.
so you were working for her,
So I was quote unquote working. She wasn't paying me or nothing. I was just
just there.
doing the security.
Sure.
I actually look at it as like one of my first security gigs ever, and it did not go well. Okay, on that respect.
And how? In what way?
It was just it was kids kept filing in, dude. That cars were just like nobody expected this many people. People came from all over. There was like well, like 40 friggin' bands on this 2-day thing. And like, yeah, I mean, Squirt Gun was one of the biggest bands on the show. Remember them? That Lookout Records band? Squirt Gun, yeah.
Yeah.
And so, doing the thing, just keeping the peace and whatnot, making sure everybody's cool. And the day was something about like every band that played amazing. There was like an energy in this place.
Right.
It was sick that day. It
Yeah.
was one of the I still think to this day is probably one of the best integrity sets I ever saw.
Okay. So Integrity was on the lineup. Obviously OLC. OLC cut in
OLC
on
was not on the lineup.
they cut in on
Integrity.
Integrity's set,
If
right?
you watch Integrity set, you could see the Chubbs in the back by the drums by Dora, and like they're slowly like changing some symbols as the
Yeah.
set's progressing, and Chubbs keeps popping his little head up.
Oh shit.
And then all this, and then because there was this like tension in the whole, there was this
Did,
weird
did people
tension.
know they were there?
Yeah, people knew that they were there, and like, but this is the
But
first
they didn't
time I
know.
ever experienced like backpacks with soft batch cookies and vegan kids talking about, wearing beads and stuff coming like from all over
They
the
wore
East
Krishna
Coast.
beads back then, because
Oh,
that was like 90s
I'm
and shit.
sure,
Yeah,
The only Christian we had was Don Foose, and he's just the most amazing person on the planet. So
absolutely.
Don's always been just an awesome, genuine dude.
Yeah.
So no, but it was just a different vibe, and like you were Cleveland like tough guy, hardcore metalhead
Right.
douchebags. We come from like also like you got to think of the other side of the Cleveland scene. You got your integrity, your ringworm, your one life crew, but like you also got your like H100s and your
Prohibition
your Tony
2000.
Gerba, your face value, your friggin' Gordon Soley motherfuckers and Schnauzer, and you have like these joke bands and these fucking.
Oh yeah.
You go to a Cleveland show, Apartment 213, like total grindcore band. Like we ruined entire clubs at their shows.
Premonitions of War, aren't they from Cleveland?
Are Premonitions of War from Cleveland? I know who they
Think
are. I
so.
don't
Yeah,
know,
that
but
band's sick.
maybe. Yeah,
That band
they're
was
good,
awesome.
man. They're good.
Yeah. Um.
Apartment 213, just shout out, man. Those guys are getting back together and doing a show in Cleveland at No Class in June.
Oh, okay.
Fucking,
I wasn't familiar with
oh, dude.
Apartment 213.
They were another sick Cleveland, their power violence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, totally.
Weekend Nachos.
Heavier for sure.
Okay.
Just
Weekend Nachos is
super.
considered like power violence. And I was like, I never really understood the term power violence for the longest time. And I was like, they're like, listen to Weekend Nachos. I'm like, this
I
is
never really listened to 'em.
oh, again, total joke name for a fucking band, but it's like, you know, the music's fucking solid, like it's really fucking good. And like, I guess, Magruder Grind is kind of like grindcore.
Yeah,
Yeah.
those are.
Cool dudes, by the way. Magruder Grind, fucking great band.
But you'd be at a show in Cleveland back in the day, dude, at any of those bands, and like people be throwing fucking fireworks in the mosh pit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Oh yeah, the
we
fucking
have
Clevo scene is
infamous,
crazy.
we have infamous shows where they cut the mic cord on Dwid from Integrity. The
Oh
Columbus
shit.
kids cut the microphone cord when he was putting the microphone out during fucking Misha and shit. Like it's you can see that shit online.
Oh,
It's on the
okay.
internet. They
It
cut the microphone cord.
it's a shame that we can't actually and so back to the show, like it's a shame that we can't actually watch the footage online
Oh
because
yeah,
this is part of the story. So anyway, kids are filing in, the symbols are being set up in the back, and Chubby's
there's this
doing like a Wizard of
freaking
Oz.
crazy tense energy throughout the entire place through all of Integrity's set,
Okay.
and then
It was probably from them
Dwid,
because they knew it was
Dwid's like, I'm gonna let my homies come up here, say a few things, cut our set short, and then Steve got up on stage, and Chubby got up on stage, and I mean, it didn't take long. If you've seen the video, it's like what right into the intro. Steve's like, "Get the
Yep.
fuck out of my country!
Yep.
You've overpopulated America!"
Oh Lord.
And then kids start piling on, old school pit, like it was dope, dude.
Yeah.
And
I saw it such a long time ago.
then this kid in a green jersey jumps up on his friend's back or whatever and puts his finger right in Steve's face. And apparently, he said something to Steve like, "Fuck you, you fat racist Jew," or some shit like that.
Oh.
And
That
then,
doesn't really go together well. Fat racist Jew.
and then I was in the back to the left behind the guitarist or whatever with Johnny, and I come filing off the stage, and the kids, I get down there, and fucking Steve pushes him. We're on the floor now. Steve pushes him, and I just run up and I hit him with the side of my forearm, and he just went down, and like everybody, it was just kind of all mayhem. I mean, it wasn't a real riot, but like it was. The riot police came in to shut it down. I had to get out of there because I had 3 warrants. I had some
Did
kids
they
come up.
classify it as a riot? The police? They
I
must
mean,
have. If they came prepared like that.
every fucking VHS tape that had a copy of it would said riot on the fucking shit. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
the Clevelo riot.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
through.
And like I've been scouring the internet for this footage, and
You had it somewhere on
yeah,
VHS. I
we
wish
we've been looking for it, and I'll host it, and the fake Tony Pines on YouTube.
Well, the thing is, before it got removed, there was like 7 different versions of it. Now, when I was all for years, for decades, I only saw one version of it. It was a version that we we all kind of got, and we shared it amongst us. And but there was like 7, 8 people with video cameras standing on chairs against the wall the whole day. This is the first time they started doing this at every show too.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know, the AOL chat room days. Like people wanted to
Oh,
post their
dude.
shit, their links, and their media fire or whatever.
Media fire.
You know what I'm saying?
Dude, these are some deep cuts, you know. That's funny too. Yeah, AOL chat days. I used to fucking pick up girls on AOL Instant Messenger. Like I'd find out their AIM name and then I'd be like, "Yo, what's up?"
Oh, dude, the chat room for the onelifedrugfree.com website
Yeah.
was epic. That's
Was it like a fucking cat house in there or some shit?
No, it was just like all hardcore shit. Like it was
Oh,
one,
okay.
one Life Drug Free. That was Chubb's the One Life Crew website back in those days.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
like
yeah.
we would all go on the chat room and like talk shit, East Coast, whatever.
Yeah.
That was where it all started
Yeah.
for hardcore shit talking on the internet. Was that website was sick.
Yeah, Bridge Nine's board used to be a lot like
Yeah,
that
the
too.
Bridge 9 board was
Lamb
just
Goat, all
yeah,
those
dude.
motherfuckers. Yeah, so I mean the footage has been excised from the internet. And you know there's a reason for that, and we've mentioned it in other videos before, because somebody keeps impersonating Chubbs and doing takedown videos and shit like that. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, it's Dwid, right?
Yeah, it's fucking Dwid. Yeah,
It's
yeah.
always Dwid. Dwid's a jokester.
But like, why? Why? But why would he do this? Like,
It must get boring constantly re-releasing the same record. Like I could just like,
those later records are just unlistenable almost.
dude, listen, man. Like, how many times and how many ways are you gonna release those fucking records? Like,
Yeah.
that's the greatest thing you've
With,
ever done. You're never gonna touch it. He's fat now. It's-
he's hanging with old as John Joseph would say, Jello Biafra. Like he's up on stage, he's all fat and shit. He's got to have a fucking somebody else sing it for him.
See, I
Uh,
like Jello though. Jello, I've hung out with Jello numerous times.
oh no,
Yeah.
shots fired. No,
A piece of shit. That doesn't mean that I
oh
don't like him though.
well, he owes my friend money. So
Yeah.
if you're watching Jello, which I hope you have, because truthfully, I just want to, I wanted to talk to him about the whole, the vax debate and shit like that, because,
Oh,
some
I've
of the
seen
shit
him
he was saying was
backstage.
heinous.
I haven't seen him in a long time. I've never seen him outside of like him DJing and hanging out at the bar all night and being
Oh,
just totally shit faced plastered at the bar.
oh.
Like that's how I know Jello. Like
And you grew up in that area?
no, I lived 10 years from 2008 to 2018 in the Bay Area.
Oh, okay,
That's right.
okay,
That's right. My security company and stuff.
okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I remember that part,
Yeah.
but uh,
So
so yeah, the riot, the show, Vice wrote about it, and then
well, it was more than just that one incident with that person. There were fights that broke out
oh,
everywhere. Dwid did punch a girl in the face. I was standing right next to him when he did it. In his defense, she was insufferable and screaming at him and in his face, and he warned her. So, take from that what you will.
well, I
He's really
mean, that's a whole nother like issue altogether, where it's like MMA fighters that are biological men that are just, fucking destroying women out there. So it's like, you know, it- you are physiologically stronger than a female. If you fucking hit her, she's gonna get fucked up and go down, and
absolutely.
probably not get back up for a minute. So for him to have done that is, it's fucking heinous. There's really no excuse. However, what if you're hit by her? What do you think?
I mean, at this point, if we're not allowed to like really, I just stay away from the gender topic, right? Like there is no gender. Like everybody's equal. We're all the same. I got you. Okay, great. So like now I'm gonna just judge you based on your behaviors, right? And if
Mhm.
you do something to me that is, deems being punched in the face, I'm not even. I'm all for equality. Like I'm all for it.
Yeah,
I had
equal
no
rights,
reason
equal
to.
hits, or whatever.
I
Isn't that what
don't
they
want
say?
to. I didn't even think about your gender. I've been programmed by society not to
Right,
because it doesn't matter anyways.
right,
Oh wait, but it does matter because like that's the problem. They don't actually want it not to matter. They want it to be a focal point,
right,
right? Because like it's like racism. Like I grew up in a very racist area in a very racist era, very racist household, right? Like that, you know, Italian American racism, right? Like so
old world racism.
you know, yeah, I grew up around people who hated black people, and except for the ones that they worked with, right?
Well, I was gonna say, did they really, or was it just one of those?
Oh, they just, there was a correlation probably to what happened to the neighborhoods and who started moving in around the same time, and they just were too unsophisticated thinking people to really see beyond race in those
Sure,
situations.
but I mean, there was also a level of just like, you know, your family members or something like from a different era would just casually drop a racial epithet.
Go to Cleveland right now and go to the inner city. Like every street, every neighborhood is very segregated. You come like it was culture shock for me to come to California and see whites, blacks, Mexicans, and Asian people all living on the
Living in the
same
same
block.
area, right?
Like it was weird. It was for me when I first moved out here.
Right. Yeah. No,
It's a different world. It's a different geographical location.
it's definitely a different vibe, and uh, how do you feel about living out here, and to kind of harken back to what we were talking about earlier about you know, the current culture of comedy and the current state of comedy,
Well, I mean, I'm here. I'm in it. I'm in it at the ground zero
right?
for the woke movement of I mean, there is very much two factions of comedy right now. It's very split up pretty much. It is what I call clapter comedy.
Right.
They're not looking for laughter, they're looking for claps, like the "Oh, you're so brave" Hannah Gatsby comedy. And then there's, real comedy that like is doing it trying to be funny and also, kind of going hard and take a no holds barred approach, and like those two sides are very clear now.
Yeah.
There are certain open mics I won't even go to because if it says something like all inclusive and it says no hate speech, like, look, I got a joke where the like literally, and it's a funny joke. It works well in front of many audiences, both sides of the spectrum. Um, but I literally say the words, I hate trans people. How can you go into a room with a no hate speech rule and safely work on that joke as a comedian? You have to fail, you have to fuck up, you have to totally push the line and say things that are totally inappropriate in order to get to the funny that works for the audience, right?
Right.
If you don't have places to work on that. So for me, like there's only certain places I can go because I'm gonna push that envelope.
Yeah, I mean, kind of as you should, because it's like, the purveyors of, you know, early stand-up comedy, like your Lenny Bruce's, your Carlins, your, Bill Hicks and stuff. I mean, those guys didn't give a fuck, like those guys just said kind of whatever. And, they were cited for like indecency and, shit like that back in
Oh
the
yeah,
day.
for sure.
Like, you ever seen Marvelous Mrs. Maisel?
It's like one of those constantly running shows in my house, like
Yeah.
in the background while I'm doing stuff if I want the
And,
TV on.
and you've never actually tuned in?
No, I've watched it.
Oh, you
I
have?
love it.
Oh, you
It's like The Sopranos to me.
Yeah, it's a
Like
good it's
it's
a
an
really
amazing
fucking
show.
good show. I thought it was like a
She's
chick show, but
she's
like,
amazing. The guy who plays Lenny Bruce is amazing.
yeah.
Like I love Tony Schlub or whatever his name is.
Oh yeah, he's great. Yeah.
Oh yeah, dude.
Meek.
He's one of my favorite characters in the whole show.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Really is, and the story writing's great, and it's very much like a Broadway musical. It's very well choreographed, and it's just really the costumes, like my God, those dresses and stuff
yeah,
that those two women are wearing, like
period specific. Yeah.
yeah, it's very well done.
Yeah. No, I
Very
enjoyed it.
hilarious.
I didn't think I would. I was like, this probably looks stupid, but I'm gonna just watch it on a whim because I think Rogan was talking about it.
Yeah,
And I was like, yeah, let me check it out. And like, yeah, that Rachel Brosnahan, she's great. Tony
she's
Shalhoub is
awesome.
great.
I liked her, and she was in was it House of Cards?
I never watched House of
Oh,
Cards.
dude, you gotta watch House of Cards.
Yeah.
That's a great show.
I have a hard like
Well,
I think I
Kevin
just
Spacey's gone, but
well,
that's when you stop.
and then it was like what, Robin Wright Penn?
Well, yeah, she's always been. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's great on the show. Like,
Has she always been on the show
yeah,
or oh
yeah,
okay.
she
So
was
she's
she was his wife or whatever. Like,
oh
and she's cold hearted, dude. That's a good.
she's a good actress.
That's a good show.
It's hard for me to commit to streaming shows because like there's so much, and there's so much that I want to watch. And it's like, some people will say, "Oh yeah, you got to wait till the second season or something like that." I'm like, I don't
I don't have time.
want to. Yeah,
I don't have
like
time to be convinced to like it.
yeah, a show really has to hook me for
Grip
me
you.
to yeah, for me to be into it because I've been watching Bates Motel.
I never watched that.
Oh, well, it's part of the Psycho
Yeah,
franchise.
yeah.
Yeah, that one's got me. Apparently Battlestar Galactica is pretty good. Have you watched that? No, he doesn't
Not since
watch
I was a
nerdy,
kid.
nerdy fucking sci-fi shit.
I'll tell you, sci-fi stuff that I really did like is the Man in the High Castle.
Oh, the Philip
Philip
K.
K.
Dick.
Dick.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I'd never watched that.
Oh, that is awesome.
Okay,
That is
all
so good.
right. I'm gonna add it to my list because I
That
have
one be a
Prime.
list of
Yeah.
nothing else because there's no other show like that.
Okay.
It's so relevant and so good.
He's got some really good adaptations, you know. I mean, Blade
I
Runner,
would say Blade Runner.
Total Recall, you know. Oh, I think he did he do Waking Life? That wasn't Phil K. Dick, was it?
Yeah, I think so.
Really?
So
I don't remember.
I didn't see it, but I know of it, and I associate that with him for so.
Yeah, we could be wrong, folks. So,
Yeah,
no, 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 no. Scanner Darkly. That's what he
Scanner
did.
Darkly.
Yes, I
Yes,
wrong Linklater
you're right.
film,
You're
folks.
you're right. Scanner
I
Darkly.
was like, why the fuck am I getting like Linklater and fucking Philip K. Dick?
That's your thing. You're a film guy, huh?
Yeah, I mean, as you can
I can
see,
tell.
Les Samurai. These posters will change too. You know, anything good you've watched lately, as far as
I was watching it's like Three Pines.
I haven't watched that.
It's is that what it's called? Three Pines? Yeah, Three Pines. It's I don't know. My wife was reading like a whole series of books. There's like 17 of them,
Uh-huh.
and she saw this in the Netflix or whatever, and she's like, "Wait a minute, is that the what I've been reading?"
Yeah.
She was like on 16 of 17 books out of that series already.
Wow.
And so I was like, she's like, I could see the look in her eyes. And she's like, well, do you mind if we watch? I'm like, no, I'm not going to not let you watch
Yeah.
that. Like, I'd be stoked too.
Yeah. There should never really be any disagreement
It's
over
cool.
what to
It's like,
watch.
it's in Canada. It's like kind of like a murder mystery with a detective that's
Okay.
really likable and
Okay.
some cool people in that. Yeah. Three
Nice.
Pines.
Three Pines.
Pines.
Okay, that's a good one. Yeah, I mean, film has always kind of been omnipresent in my life, because it, grew up with folks that watched really cool movies, so they exposed me to a lot of really cool shit early on. Um, what have you been watching as far as films and whatnot?
I
Nothing?
don't, not a lot. No, I mean,
No.
I read a lot. Pay attention to like my spirituality a lot. I spend a lot of time meditating. I spend a lot of time kind of between here and the other side,
Is it like your own
closer to source.
process
Yeah,
or?
pretty much. Like, I mean, there's definitely, I think I kind of was built into my process through Kundalini yoga, right?
Oh,
Like
okay.
through a friend. My wife's been doing yoga for years,
Good.
and she's a therapist, psychologist.
Cool.
So she incorporates a lot of those techniques. She's certified yoga nidra and yoga therapy, which is like body
Wow.
psychology, where you use
Yeah.
like the movements and so a lot of that is just brain body connection type stuff.
Yeah.
So a lot of that is what I really try to do, try and strike that balance. So through meditation, breath work, I do a lot of breath work, Wim Hof style breathing and like,
Oh, cool.
a lot of that kind of stuff. So
That's awesome.
chakra healing, Reiki, like I'm a Reiki master. So,
Wow.
so I spent a lot of time in that reality, I
Okay.
think, and with my wife and like, like we have a very special kind of spiritual practice that's important to us.
That's really awesome, dude. I mean that I think that's probably key in like most relationships because, like if you don't have commonalities and things that you can do together, I mean, obviously, you got to have your boys, your wife, your spouse, your girlfriend's got to have her girls and shit like that. Do their girls boys night and shit like that. But you got to be able to come together,
Well, that's our relationship. We very, very much prioritize the independent nature of each of us. Like we're realistic about that. We always have been. So she has her life, I have mine, and we are very much connected. So
That's awesome.
it all starts with that, I think. I think you can't have the rest if you're not fully connected and like making being connected your number one priority, which is what I think is also the same case for my spiritual practice, right? It's
Sure.
all about connection. It's all about actually not avoiding and kind of like, accessing and awareness of what's going on in your mind, your spirit, and your body, because they're all connected too, and they all work together. And if you care about one of them, you kind of have to care about them all.
Right, but ultimately, when one is suffering, it will affect the rest
Oh,
of you.
without a doubt.
Yeah.
I got this book. It's oh man, with the psychology of like I forget what it's called exactly, but we call it it tells you any ailment. It'll tell you the energetic connection So like what's going on for you energetically?
Hmm.
Like your feet start hurting and it's like cuz you don't feel firmly planted and you're not solid in what you're doing, you're the way you're making your way in the world, this that,
Right.
like that kind of stuff. And it's the book's like this, bro. Yeah, dude. Messages from the Body. That's what the book's called.
Okay.
Messages from the Body.
I'm doing
It's fascinating.
I'm doing the 200-hour training, so any materials that I can
Yoga
get.
training?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
What
And
specific discipline do you focus at?
well, I mean, I'm doing it through the studio that I'm at, so it's like, I guess they have their own practices and or whatnot. I'm still kind of familiarizing myself with it. I've done yoga before, and the nidra practice is fantastic, by the way, for someone who struggles with sleep. You
Oh
know,
yeah. Have you already been doing that or did I tell you?
oh yeah, yeah.
Oh,
No,
nice.
I went and I'm kind of sampling each class like for a few weeks or so until I actually have to do the training so that I can get into it. But
Nice.
yeah, the ninja training will put you out in like 2 minutes.
Oh man, I know. I do it every single day, at
It's
least
insane.
once.
They're
I try for 2 a day.
they're like try to stay awake. I'm like fucking how? You know, like there's no way.
It's amazing because I mean, you go to this like different brain state. It's not hypnotic. It's not like but it's not awake, but it's not sleep. It's really fascinating. It's
Have you
a theta state or whatever.
have you ever been in like Shrivasana, which Shrivasana is like,
Yeah,
laying
laying
down for those who don't
flat.
know. Um, and been like not really aware of where you were or like
Oh
you're in
yeah.
that happens to me all the
I
time.
did a nidra not too long ago. I thought I felt like I was levitating, and I don't know if I was or not because I didn't want to check in,
Well,
right?
yeah.
Like because I was in that state.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating state. It really is. I connected to source. That's what I always say. I'm always trying to get connected to source.
Yeah. Do you believe in like or do you try to lucid dream or anything like
Yeah,
that?
I've done lucid dreaming. Yeah,
Okay.
so Tantar, who was the guy that I used to do Kundalini with when I first got really into this, kind of at the beginning of the what lockdowns or whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah,
We were
and
doing yoga in secret, like we were hugging and stuff with no
oh
masks. We were
God.
rebels, bro.
No, clutch your pearls. Fucking COVID spreading. Fucking oh God.
And that's a lot of breathing. I'm really big into the breath work stuff, right?
Yeah,
One of the
absolutely.
things like I
Prana.
diagnosed as asthma, yeah, and prana, all the energy flow and like
Yeah,
in the mind body, like where you focus your energy,
absolutely.
and you can actually heal your body and send it different prana.
And you just did a cleanse, like a water cleanse. Yeah.
Yeah, 7 days. Well,
Yeah.
7 days, 22 hours is how far I went.
That's fucking amazing. How are you feeling and all that?
Oh,
Like,
awesome. I thought because I was down 13 when I came off the fast and down 13 pounds on the scale. And I thought most of it was going to be water, but I kept 10 of it off.
oh, awesome.
Yeah, and I don't
Just
feel like
fat.
I've lost any. Yeah, I think just fat. I don't think I lost any lean muscle mass at all.
That's
'Cause I was still
that's
like
great.
making sure to do squats and do my push-ups and things,
Yeah.
so that I at least kept some flow.
Yeah. You never did military, did you?
No,
No.
I was raised by a fucking PTSD Vietnam vet, so
Oh.
I feel like I did my time.
Yeesh. You had your training. Yeah, that's got to be rough. And to like speak on, some of the things that we were talking about the like to harken back to your relationship with your wife and shared interests in spirituality and whatnot. Like you and I have had this discussion on Facebook before about like monogamy and like finding the right partner and stuff like that. And like I feel like you found a really one in a million ideal situation. I just feel like, and we were
I feel
I
like since you feel that way, that's obviously what's going to become true for you.
oh God, no. No, no, no. It's funny because, again, the pearl clutching women that were at your show, I walk into the dressing room and this guy fucking daps me up right away. He's like, "Oh, is this like the porn? Like, I gave you a shirt, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
I
yeah.
was gonna wear it. I forgot.
Oh, all
I was
good.
halfway
Fucking
here.
yeah, and I gave him a shirt and he's like, "Oh, is this the one all the porn stars you've been banging are wearing?" Like that. And I was like, the women like looked up and like kind of looked at me and shit and I was like, "Yeah, that's what's up." So,
It's funny.
yeah, no, but yeah, I fuck around with thoughts and shit like that, the concept of monogamy is so like I want to embrace it. I want to have like a one partner type deal, but it's like especially around here dealing with women around here, they're fucking insane, and a lot of them are very self-serving, and um, I don't find a lot of women outside of LA interesting though, you know what I'm saying? And also it's like the whole commitment factor. Like I got so many friends that are going through family court and I got so many friends that are alimony payments out the fucking wazoo. So it's like, why would I want to embrace that? Why would I want to cede 50% of my shit away to somebody that's a fucking psycho? Or maybe not, you know.
It sounds like you don't.
I do. No, I don't.
Well, there you go. There's your answer. You
Well,
don't.
I know, but
Why
like
even asking the question?
because you were such a staunch defender in the Facebook thread, and you're like, no, like
I think to be in a relationship, I think everything works if like you got to allow yourself to be with somebody. I don't know how to say it. I don't really know how to say it.
is it one of those
Like
things where it's like you
it
have
builds so much character.
sure, but it's like one of those things where like oh, your heart has to be open to receive love or something like that.
Like
Some like hippy
you
dippy
say you
shit.
don't eat meat for moral reasons, but you
Yeah.
bang porn stars.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand how the two equate.
Well, because in that, okay, so we're going there. Okay, so
Just curious.
with the vegan thing, the vegan thing is I'm not harming other living entities, living beings.
You're not.
Well, not in my consumption of my meals.
You're just so far removed from the agriculture and how many other animals die to harvest things like vegetables
Talk
and
about that.
fruit and things like that, like woodchucks and like I've been on farms. I grew up working on farms.
What I'm saying is,
Little small rabbits and vermin
sure,
and like entire ecosystems get entirely imbalanced by monocrop agriculture where they're staking off a big piece of land saying no, we're going to grow this pepper, so all of this stuff that's normally would be here doesn't have to be here. So is it any better for the environment or any less animals? Actually, I think more are actually being harmed for that, what I think is nutritionally deficient,
let me counter that statement in that with animal agriculture, it's much similar. Like with Amazon deforestation in order to create um, places for cows to
Okay, so
fucking
we agree. I agree with you on that. So
yes,
I think what we
absolutely,
need is like free range. I'm about regenerative agriculture, right? We need more grasslands.
right.
We need more grass in the
You don't have to
farmlands.
do a monocrop system though. I mean,
I understand, but like it doesn't matter. You're still what it takes to build those kind of systems in place to get vegetables still kill other animals, no matter how you
no
slice it.
doubt, no doubt. I agree with you there. But what I'm saying is the grain that is used uh, to feed livestock clears out way more rainforest than does
So
planting.
I try not to eat grain-fed meat myself personally because I don't think it's better for us. I think so that's a conversation I think that should be had, but I think the conversation that goes from vegan to meat, is a distraction from that regenerative agriculture.
I'm not saying the quality of the meat as far as like the grain is concerned. I'm just saying the actual process of stripping the rainforest in order.
I totally agree with
Okay,
you.
okay, so
That's what I'm
yeah,
saying. Like I totally agree with you. We shouldn't
right.
be promoting that like a further deeper into that because it is more harmful. But I think the most sustainable is local, is as primal as possible. An animal eating grass, you know, like that to me is how it should. I mean, look at how much food there is on like buffalo and like these things used to be prominent all over our country.
They did until we, misused them essentially.
Hundred percent.
Not utilizing them for their full capacity. Um, but back to the nutritional deficiency thing that you were saying. In what way do you feel that?
Because all humans are meant to like cholesterol, these things, fat, animal fats, saturated fats, they're part of what makes us human.
Right,
Our consumption of these things are how we thrive. Can you survive by not having them? Sure. What kind of life do you want to live? Like people have so many ailments. I see so many people, so many vegans that continue going down this path
right.
where they're just and they're screaming to the heavens about these different ailments, these different autoimmune deficiencies, these different like psoriasis and all this other stuff that's going on with them, and they refuse to come off the vegan. And a lot of times, if the ones that do, they take a bite of food and they realize what they're actually missing.
No.
It happens so much, bro.
Uh,
You just don't see that
I'm not gonna
propaganda.
say. Look, I'm not gonna
You
say
see
meat.
different propaganda.
I'm not gonna say meat doesn't taste good. I almost consider myself like
I think it's
a meat and
necessary.
potatoes vegan, but I didn't quit eating meat for um because I didn't like the taste. I did for ethical reasons. And
Right.
I'm perfectly okay. Like some people are like, you got mock meats and stuff. What's the difference? And I'm like, well,
A lot of
yeah,
difference.
a,
It's
a
got
lot of
fucking
difference.
neurotoxin canola oil in it. It's got all these different bullshit
But again, like,
ingredients.
we're talking about like the meat and stuff, the quality of the meat. Like, you got so many antibiotics in it. And I'll pose this question to you, like, why do physicians, when you have like cardio vascular problems and heart problems and things like that, why do they always prescribe a vegan diet? They do
Well,
that.
because they're still living in a saturated fat is bad mentality that started with Ansel Keys when he lied to the country and said and to the government and said that there was a correlation in his 7 country study between saturated fat consumption and heart disease.
Right.
And then that was used. This man and his research and his study was used to basically spark a movement that was lifted by companies like Kellogg's and all these other companies that wanted to sell this cheap grain that they had sitting in the middle of the country. And also sugar. The sugar industry is a big reason that we have the problems we have today because we're putting
Absolutely.
sugar in everything. So the low fat movement based on Ansel Keys' faulty study, because we found out later he actually, when some documents got declassified, they found out he actually studied, I believe it was 22 countries, and there was no correlation between heart disease and saturated fat consumption in those countries. So
But they have reversed some of the effects of heart disease through the use of a vegan
okay,
food.
so anybody you take off of the standard American diet is good. So I'm all for if what you eat is box food and chemical produced nasty fucking fast food all the time, and you're gonna go from that to a whole food plant based diet, clearly you're gonna do good compared
Yeah,
to how you were doing. You're
absolutely.
gonna lose weight, you're gonna feel better, you're gonna probably reverse some metabolic dysfunction
Right.
over the long term. I think to truly thrive by not adding back meat products at some point, you're going to suffer.
But again, in what way though? Because
Either
you and
way,
I,
a lot of it comes down to gut bacteria, right?
right?
Are you familiar with the GAPS protocol?
I'm not.
The GAP diet is the gut and psychology, and then she's got a book, The Gut and Physiology diet. It's all about treating your gut and like our gut is like a little, it's like our
Ecosystem.
second brain too, so it like has a direct impact on our mental health.
Right.
And when you see a lot of things going on in society, you got to wonder what's going on nutritionally. What are people eating,
Yeah.
right? It's all sugar,
You ever been
really.
to Europe?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Dude, the
I've been
food
to.
tastes
It
different.
tastes different. They eat differently there. They eat they eat less quantities. They eat higher quality, and they fast more too.
I'm not debating that the quality of the food here isn't shit and that, you know, um, most Americans, vegans included, will eat a shit diet. I've slowly begun to kind of, work on the nutrition aspects of it. Been working with Don Foos on that. Thanks for the recommends. He,
I still love you, Don.
Don, Dayal Nitai Das, Hare
Thanks, Don.
Krishna. Um, yeah, my family had a history of blood disorders and things like that. So, that what I think the correlation is. And there are counter methods and products to be able to do, you're talking about gut health, I do a lot of kombucha,
Yeah,
you know.
fermented foods in general are really good for your gut.
Absolutely,
That's part of the protocol with the GAPS diet but it starts with meat stocks.
kombucha has a high concentration of B12, and I also take B12 supplements. And I've been doing it for 10 years. And when I did a study at, where was it? UCLA. And they were like, your heart rate is amazing, like your blood pressure is so low. I don't know if it's now because I picked up the vape again, but they were commenting on that at the time. They said, "What's your secret?" And I was like, "I haven't eaten meat in over a decade," and like they were like, "Wow,"
See, I have
So
those same reactions, and I haven't eaten a vegetable in 4.5 years.
I'm not saying that you can't be healthy on a meat-based diet. Like obviously if you get like what is it, free range shit or whatever.
Oh, like grass fed, free range. I mean,
Right.
some of those terms you have to really get critically thinking into
Right.
because they become marketing terms, and you want to really source your food better than that, even.
And I can't hate on people that you know uh hunt for food, because there is an aspect to that where in the Vedas, the Srimad Bhagavatam, it says, okay, if you wanna eat meat, go out and kill it with your bare hands like that. Now, granted, hunting is not your bare hands, but it's like, at least you know, um, you're going to be able to eat for a while for sure. Like if you shoot, even if you shoot like a deer or an elk or something like that, and it's going to be infinitely better for you, you know, unless there's some sort of like trichinosis in it or something. I don't know what do deer get, like some sort of weird shit.
Oh.
So, I can respect that level of it. I just I just think it's wrong, like I think it's just wrong to kill an animal for sustenance when we live in an era where we don't have to, and especially when
I still don't. I disagree with you that we don't have to kill something for our food. With everything comes sacrifice.
again, I don't doubt it,
Everything
but
feeds life on some level.
sure, but at the same time, why be the purveyor of that? Why incur and I'm looking at this from a spiritual perspective, from like, Christian consciousness perspective. Why be the purveyor of that karma and that like the
I think
killing?
you're, because I think you're honoring the animal, because I think you're absorbing the animal. Your transference of life. Nobody loves a frigging cow more than the rancher, bro. Like meet some of those ranchers at those like ethical places where these food come from. They love those animals, and that does translate into an energy, and that is their purpose, is to give life, just like the animals that they eat and like other animals eat like each other. Like it's a transference of energy. It's one that we can't avoid.
One thing that I was going to say though was that the earliest civilizations in the world, in the Indus River Valley, were non-meat eaters. They were vegetarians.
That is actually debatable from what I understand.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Why though?
I think it's debatable. I'm not an expert on the topic, but I've heard peripherally because I do, follow this stuff.
Sure.
That what was that based on, like bioavailability or something? Like it's not as cut and dry as they make it seem. Like they tend to glorify, even in the Vedic tradition. Like they were actually, before the writings got kind of subverted in a lot of ways, from what I understand, they were actually advocating for, mostly meat diets. I'm gonna
Uh,
send you a link later.
okay,
Like I'm gonna
okay,
send you a link because it's an interesting conversation, and it does raise, everything gets subverted, right? Like there was a time, I mean, what did hunters and gatherers do? They fasted a lot, and they feasted on animals, and they ate every piece of the animal.
that's true.
That's absolutely when we were, as a species, thriving on 2 feet, bipedals, running around in very good metabolic health, right? And
Okay.
if that's our goal, to you go that paleo route. Like I love when anybody tells me they go paleo. I go, okay, you're really exploring now. You're really exploring something that makes sense, because I think how our ancestors lived matters a lot,
It would be really interesting to
and how
look.
they thrive, the ones that thrived.
Right. It would be really interesting to take a look at previous generations of Americans and compare like their health statistics, like back then based on how
Well,
they
you
are
think
now.
about the 60s, right? You see pictures of people in the 60s, big groups of people at like Walt Disneyland or whatever. Like there's never any fat people in those pictures, right?
No.
Like it's not, and there's a few different things I think people were doing back then. They were eating lard, they were cooking with it, they were using like butter, right? You didn't, I think that the introduction of vegetable oil is probably one of the most destructive things on humanity ever. And it's everywhere. And it's
Every vegetable
every
oil?
yeah, I think vegetable oil, though, like canola oil in
Canola is the
general,
worst.
right? Like that is the stuff that's most frequently used, right? I think that was the
Yeah.
beginning of the severe weight gain and all that stuff. But
It's pure
also,
shit.
like it correlates. You can see it directly on a graph. As soon as the government started telling us how we were supposed to eat and gave us a pyramid for food, we started to get more unhealthy. Diabetes skyrockets,
Yeah.
obesity skyrockets. And then what are they also telling us? Eat 6 times a day. Never let yourself get hungry. We used to eat 3 times a day. You maybe have a snack in the middle of the day. People would stop eating at like 7 o'clock at night
Yeah.
and then not eat again until they got up. So you're looking at a fast of 12 hours a day for
Yeah.
most people.
Essentially.
Nobody does that anymore. Nobody goes to bed hungry. People are constantly eating, and we're eating this
I do.
processed shit that is designed to store fat and make us hungrier. That's
Um,
what this processed food and all the nonsense, different variations of sugar that's in it.
that's
You know,
really
it
interesting.
started with the low fat movement. The low fat movement was what got us here with all this sugar and everything.
But the low fat movement is not does not have anything to do with like of the vegans because
Oh no, but it was the beginning of the messaging from the authorities and the corporations that stand to profit off of it, right? That led
yeah.
us down this path to where we're sitting here going plant-based diet, and now everybody just wants to go plant-based, and plant-based now just means stuff that's made in a factory. So like
Yeah.
it's lost its original meaning.
Oh, the word plant-based has been like misconstrued. It doesn't mean vegan necessarily.
No,
I've been to so many places that are like, we have plant-based stuff, and I'm like, what does that mean? Because
I mean, yeah,
yeah, like it's so nebulous as far as like, it
it's
could,
marketing.
right, it could have like a Beyond Patty and like an Impossible fucking or Beyond or Impossible and then like cheese, regular cheese, dairy cheese.
Hydrogenated oil.
Yeah.
Right. So like that's the problem with all the food that we get everywhere we go. So one of the things I don't do is I don't eat out. Very rarely do I eat out. I make my own steak at home. I get it from the
S-
butcher
So
shop.
many good restaurants in LA though.
Yeah, but like I'm also big in the spirituality component. I'm big into like the energy of the preparedness of my
I
food.
will agree with you of that
I don't
as
want some
well.
dude who hates his job, that's arguing with his girl via text right now, sitting back there forced to make my shit, like putting
Yeah.
that kind of energy into my food. I don't know what kind of energy is going into it.
Yeah,
It's really just a transactional thing at that point, right?
sure.
My wife and I have a few spots we go. We know where they source their food. I live in Orange County. They got places in Laguna Beach right on the
Well,
water that I like to go.
and to speak of the energy that is around a food, that's kind of where I'm going with the veganism aspect, and that you look at it from the spiritual angle, like there can't be like that animal's dying in terror, like that
Yeah,
can't
I don't think that they see it the same way.
the animals or
No, I don't think that the spirits see it that way. I don't think the source sees it that way. I think that they're there for our life. Like it's a cycle.
but
I think that you're putting human emotions to an experience like it's almost like anamorphism.
no, because like again, I've also done much research, and there's much data that would support, you know, a
What are we
vegan.
so afraid of dying for?
What am I afraid of?
Well, for anybody, why is anybody afraid of dying?
Oh,
It's just like this morbidity around death. Like it's these animals are gonna die. What else are they gonna do? Live forever? Like
no, but I mean, at the same time, it's like you know. Mm, I don't know how to describe it, man. Like there is a transference of energy when you kill an animal. There has to be, and so that energy, like you said, when it comes into the actual preparation of the food, I mean, you don't get that with a vegetable. Vegetables, yes, they're alive, but there's a lower
they
level.
are alive. They
There's
have
a lower level of
defense mechanisms
there's
too.
a lower level of sentience within a plant, which is why the Vedas will mention about it, saying that yes, you incur karma for eating plants, right? Like you were saying with the
I
ecosystem and
think you do. I
whatnot.
think people have autoimmune dysfunction and hormonal issues because of a lot of the plants that they eat that have anti-nutrients and lectins and different things that actually disrupt our digestive system and our microbiome in a big way that we don't even take into any
But
consideration.
lecithins are required.
Oh, yeah, but there can be, I mean, just many things are required in our system when we
Sure.
consume them and they interact with things in different ways. I mean, our body's so complex.
That's where
I think
milk
it's
milk has lecithin. Like dairy milk has, and
Lecithin?
isn't that what it's how it's
I
pronounced?
said lectin.
Lectin?
Yeah,
Whatever.
different lectins. They're different
You know what I'm talking about.
anti-nutrients or like
Yeah.
neurodisruptors. In some cases, they affect our stomach issues and the different bacteria we have in our gut. The fiber and overconsumption of fiber can actually clog you up. It does the opposite of what they say fiber is supposed to do.
So, would you ever consider a medium like a vegetarian diet? Because think about it like
I mean,
this.
if I fully am healed at some point, like, and feel that I want to reintroduce things like I've been carnivore for 4.5 years. To me, it's an elimination diet. So I have
What
experimented
were you
with
before
different
that?
things.
Oh, you were
I was keto before that. I've
keto.
never been
Okay.
vegan.
Oh, okay.
And
Never
I was a
vegetarian.
fat slob before that. I'm down 110 pounds. I'm down, I've reversed type 2 diabetes.
Yeah,
I've
yeah, yeah.
reversed gout. I've done a bunch of different things
That's good, dude.
to change my metabolic health
Yeah.
through a meat only diet.
Mm, that's debatable, man. Like I
A
said,
lot of people are doing it, and
I
it's
don't
fun to
doubt it. I
watch. A
mean,
lot of people are thriving.
it would be interesting to have John Joseph on here again, and then
Oh, I'd
like
love it.
Don Foose, and like we could have a veganism debate, and
I'll bring Sean Baker and Paul Saldino, and we'll have a good time. Let's do it.
let's do it. I mean, if
I
you
have to
guys
reach
are,
out to those
I'll
people
I'll
and see.
bring John and Don in my corner, and then we can have like a big round table discussion.
In the end, what it's really about is what works for you, right? Like, and that to me is like the cornerstone and the foundation of all my spiritual and the way I live is about taking responsibility for that, right? Like,
Sure.
not giving up your power because you have the power to heal yourself. So I healed myself through a meat only diet. Um, you know, I think we're all bio individual, right? Like, I think sometimes where our ancestors came from, what was bioavailable to them in those days, are what we're gonna thrive on today, right? Like
Sure.
as humans, right? So there's a lot of nuance there and a lot of different factors. I do think everybody should eat meat if they want to thrive. Can you survive without it? Probably, but you might break your bones easier. You might be anemic. You might have different autoimmune disorders, and you might have to deal with that stuff down the line. People
Mm,
are breaking their bones a lot worse when their bones are much more brittle when they're on a long term elimination of meat diets.
mm.
That's my but do you, bro? I don't care. Like,
Well, I mean, like I said, I've been doing a meat-free diet.
it's another reason my vegans, they want to tell everybody what to do.
And I look, well, no, I don't give a shit. Like I usually I'm not the PETA type obnoxious vegan, like that a lot of those motherfuckers exist out in the world, and while I feel like they bring awareness, they also piss a lot of people off,
Oh
and
yeah,
I,
for sure.
I don't think that's the way to do it. And I sell vegan swag, and I'm I don't know if this is uh helping, but
You need some
it's
carnivore swag. Like, you should start buy some leather goods or something.
Oh yeah, 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 something. I mean, it's just it's great to be able to have these sort of discussions and whatnot.